Photographing a place for the first time is one of my absolute favorite things to do. I love it. And the thing is, in my life, sometimes I don't know what it is I like to do, or I'm a little unsure in my hobbies, but this is one thing that I always know when I'm doing it, that I really love it. The moment when I get to a new place and I'm hit with all of these new visual experiences, these opportunities to see and capture new photographs. I see all of these new photographs to take, and it's something that when I'm in it, I really know that I love it. And it's one of the reasons why I love to travel too, to be able to capture a place or the story of a place in photo or a video. It's these days a lot of the reasons why I travel, and if I'm honest, I think it always has been. Usually it's about 90% of the reason why I go anywhere. I mean, of course, sometimes there's specific things I want to see, tourist things, but for the vast majority of reasons, I go to a place with the intention of taking photographs of it. I sometimes even find myself not going to places because I can't shoot it. Like, for example, sometimes I don't go to museums because they don't allow cameras in, and I have that feeling like, well, if I can't tell a story or take photos of it, then why would I go? Now, most people would probably say that's a really unhealthy way to travel, and the thing is, for most people it is. For tourists, it certainly is, but for photographers, I think it's not. It all depends on why you're traveling to a place. You see, I usually go to a place for photography, or as a photographer. Not just photography, video more and more as well these days, but as somebody who wants to try and tell some kind of a story of the place or of my experience of the place. So because of that, and because it's something that I love to do, it's one of the first things that I'll do when I get to a new place, is to go on a photo walk, or to grab my camera and just start exploring. Because it's also a great way to explore a new neighborhood and get to know a new place. When you're photographing, your eyes are open all of the time. So you're always looking around you, taking in all of that new perspective. You're looking for those small details specifically, looking for those things that make a specific place what it is. So I find going for a photo walk is a great way to get a sense of a new place or a neighborhood or a destination. I guess this all makes me sound like a really fun guy to travel with, but yeah, that's a lot of the time, that's all I want to do when I go to a new place, is just try and capture it in some way with my camera. I went to Stockholm for work originally. I was working for a few days during the week, but then I decided to extend it and make it a little bit longer, to take the weekend for myself. It had also been a while since I've had a holiday, probably a little bit too long. So I took some time to get out of my bubble and to see some new places, have some new fresh perspectives for a while. I had never been there before, and this time I was only there for a few days, so I don't think really enough time to get to know a city properly. I think in most cases it's more like years than days. So I guess my perspectives are from the perspective of a slightly more than 48-hour trip. My accommodation was in the neighborhood of Södermalm. Yeah, I apologize for the pronunciation of that because I'm almost sure it's wrong. But I had heard people call it the Soho of Stockholm, which I think is maybe one of the better ways to describe it. So a nice area to be based. It was also a good place for photography, lots of people around. The area itself was quite nice. So yeah, a good place to be based, and then I expanded my way throughout the city from there. I spent my weekend exploring the neighborhoods of central Stockholm. I didn't really have time to get any further than that. The Old Town being the most notable one and famous neighborhood, I guess. The neighborhoods I explored were, yeah, a little touristic, but not too bad. And I still managed to see a decent mix of different sides of the city. The weather was cold and a bit dull throughout my time there, so I didn't get up early any morning because sunrise in Stockholm is really early, but also there wasn't much of a sunrise to get up for, so it wasn't really worth my time. My first impressions of Stockholm, I think it's a good city to be a photographer, or to go there as a photographer, for sure. For 2 days at least. It's very clean, it feels really safe, and it's very organized. Those are like the things that hit me immediately as soon as I got there. Everything is super clean, which I guess can be both a good thing or a bad thing, depending on the type of photographer you are. And likewise, it's very organized and not so hectic. Even in the center of the city where there's a lot of people, it's not really that chaotic. Everything feels quite calm in a way. And again, I guess I guess that can be a good thing or a bad thing depending on the type of photographer you are and the type of photographs you want to get. But for me, I found it quite nice. It definitely makes it easier to wander around. Another thing that really stood out to me is that it's a super colorful city. Many of the buildings are painted, most of them in tones of red, orange, or yellow. For some reason, I'm not quite sure, but it makes it really nice and makes them very eye-catching. That also made it easier for me to find some contrast with them because they do stand out quite a bit. So it's easier to find people or eye-catching objects or something that contrasts quite a bit to the buildings in the background because they are so colorful. I didn't see any one building or attraction that I found truly spectacular like some of the other cities in Europe might have, but that's not necessarily a bad thing because almost everything was really nice, which I guess means that if anything there's even more nice things to shoot, if that makes sense. And it was cold there, very Nordic, and I think you can feel that in the atmosphere of the city. I do wish I had a little bit longer there, just to slow down and take my time, especially when you're trying to shoot some video as well. It can get very, you can feel very flustered trying to capture everything. So if I had more time, it would have been nice to maybe take a few days just to focus on the little details or specific areas or neighborhoods in the city. But you can only use the time you have, I guess. Like I said earlier, exploring new places with my camera is one of my absolute favorite things to do. And sure, even after my time in Stockholm, I got tired and I was looking forward to going home. I still enjoyed it very, very much. It was an exciting time in a new city and an opportunity to try and tell some new stories. Even if it's stories that are just for me and nobody sees these photos, I don't think it matters. But trying to capture it and make something new and creative out of a trip makes it just a little bit more exciting, and there's a specific challenge in that, and I really enjoy it.